Hello, Kyle here. I am going to review the second episode of House of the Dragon that just premiered tonight on HBO. And I have to say, they delivered another terrific episode of television. I was enamored with the political intrigue, with the take on how patriarchy can treat its women. I thought that the decision to make each dragon not only look different but sound different from each other really, I think, made the show just so much better, because Caraxes, Daemon Targaryen's dragon, sounds unlike any other dragon I've ever heard. He screams, and then it's almost like this echoing factor after he screams. It is so cool. And I mean, I did not expect this episode to have a time jump. I thought the only time jump would be when we get to the middle of the show, but apparently it looks like every episode will be a time jump. So this episode was like 6 months after last week's, and I believe the next episode could be possibly a year after this episode. And I'm very curious on what they're going to do there, because one of my needs for this show was I wanted and kind of needed them to continue the young actors, Millie Alcock and Emily Terry, I believe her name is, as Alicent and Rhaenyra. I wanted to see them continue in future seasons of the show. So knowing that Emma Darcy and Olivia Cooke are going to be in the later portion of this series, I want to see the young actresses actually continue through the series, and I want to see them do more than just 5 episodes. But the way that they're jumping, I don't know if they'll have enough time in between that, time jump in the middle for them to have more episodes with those actresses. So I don't know what they're going to do. I thought last week the first episode was a better episode, but it's like, if I said that's probably because it's the premiere, and there was a lot more action, a lot more really important stuff happening in the first episode of this show, and it just felt so good to have Game of Thrones back, that to have this episode was more, I don't want to say filler, but it more so laid the groundwork of, I would assume, future episodes. And we got a little bit more of the crab feeder and how they are trying to balance the relationships and conflicts of Daemon and Rhaenyra and Alicent and Viserys and Corlys. Corlys, who I thought had a great part to play in this episode. And I love that they ended up having this relationship slash friendship between Alicent and King Viserys, which I actually really loved. And then I loved how Corlys was telling King Viserys that, you have to marry my daughter, my 12-year-old daughter. And I was glad to see that they did that, because that is something that happened back in the day in royalty, and also it's in the books. And I didn't know if they'd shy away from, having a, let's just say, I don't know how old King Viserys is, but having an older king, marry like a 12-year-old girl. So the fact that they approached it in the story makes me believe that other things in this show from the book we will see, and they're not too afraid to go into some really creepy stuff. But I mean, I think all around the acting was great. The scene between Rhaenys and Rhaenyra, oh, so good. The scene between Rhaenyra and Daemon, so good. Showing how Rhaenyra isn't too happy with how the council still isn't listening to her, although she's the heir, and to see it kind of crumble beneath her feet as her father now has to find a wife who then will give him an heir that will replace Rhaenyra, and to see how doubtful she is of her position. I really think that this show is doing an incredible job at showing the tension and the conflict, and I cannot wait for next week. Sundays are back, Game of Thrones is back, and most importantly, the music in the title sequence was back, and that was outstanding. It was like I was at a sports game when it came on, and I jumped out of my seat. I was so happy to hear it. Yeah, so I'm loving what they're doing. I can't wait to see where they go. And let me know what you think if you watch the episode. I highly recommend watching this show, though most likely you already are if you're watching this episode 2 review. But yeah, Game of Thrones is back. House of the Dragon is great. Take care, everybody. Bye.